I learned that even the bigger flippers out there, they still don't have systems, don't have true processes. They're running everything manually, and they don't have a clear lead or client acquisition system. They still need marketing. Acquisitions is always going to be a big problem. They always have to get the best bird dog. So talent acquisition is like every single time there's almost always a system or something that is not efficient.
Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. I have my friend and guest today, Esteban. I'm your host, Adam Whitney. My friend Esteban is from two companies that are super useful in the real estate investing industry. One is called Remote Latinos, which is a virtual assistant company that helps you source offshore talent from South America and Latin type countries. And also an organization called GetSellers.io, which is like a PPL. It's really a media company that helps you to produce leads in your business. They have a lot of different things that they can do for you, but primarily they generate leads for your business across digital platforms, PPC, Meta, you name it, they do it. And they've been doing it for a little while. I just kind of been watching them from the sideline, and I was just excited to bring Esteban to an event with us at Seven Figure Flipping, and then now have him on the podcast. Man, welcome to the show.
Man, I appreciate you for having me here. It's an honor.
All right, man. So I think, well, first off, like, how did all this come to be? Were you an investor? Are you an investor? Like, how did all this stuff even start? Let's hear a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did the entire college university thing where I wanted to work for a big corporation. I did that, and I was able to essentially hit the peak or hit a ceiling real fast, where it's like I'm gonna be stuck here for 20 years in order to make $300,000 a year, and that's not something I want to go for. I was an engineer at Fiat Chrysler Automotive, the automotive company, designing the pickup truck frames and so on. So I had a lot of like design background, management, product development, all that stuff. And I'm like, I want to just create stuff. I just want to do stuff that are different. And like here, I can't get to like that amount of money. If I have to like literally level up like by years. This is not by skill set necessarily. It's like experience and like hierarchy, all that stuff. So I started diving into real estate while I was living in Detroit, because Detroit has one of the most amount of houses, if you ever gone to Detroit, that really need a lot of love. Like you drive around the city and it's a lot of ugly, burned down, there's fixer uppers, and most of them, they're just gonna sit there for a while. But the city started getting a lot of investment done by Quicken Loans, Ford Motor Company, and it started to like rise up once again. So I saw that, and I wanted to get into flipping. And so two of my buddies, essentially, that were also working Chrysler, and another one that was a contractor, were like, hey, let's do a flip and let's buy a house, flip it, make some money. It seems like we're going to make about $20,000, $30,000 in our first flip. We'll split it, all of that. That's cool. But we did everything wrong. We didn't read the papers wrong. We bought it from an auction from the land bank. We, like at that time, like we were young, hungry, and didn't know what we were doing. So we bought it on an auction, and we just lost like all the money to get that house essentially acquired. And thank God we didn't proceed. That was like my first ever time that I tried doing flipping. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do still real estate. Attended these seminars by what was it? Those big ones. I forgot the name of the big ones that did 3 days, and they essentially teach about everything. Back in the day,
fortune builders,
fortune builders. And then I was like, I want to try wholesaling and reverse wholesaling. What is this? Like, this is really cool. Like, you don't have to essentially put a lot of money for fixing the houses. So as I started doing that, I realized that a lot of these people didn't know about marketing. And what I had done in my pastimes or in my free time was that I dedicated myself to personal development and marketing. So I listened to, the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, the uh, Started with Why book, the Simon Sinek, the Frank Kern of marketing for marketing geniuses. I started listening to a lot of these big people that had a lot of content out there, and so I learned about marketing while I was doing personal development, and so I learned then also about ads and advertising and stuff like that. I took a course, and I was like, no one knows how to do marketing. It's like it's like one of the most important like parts of that business, and literally everyone depends on another company, or everyone depends on doing something that you know that is not as efficient, which was like, oh, go and do and door knock, go and do cold calling, maybe hire one person from the Philippines, whatever. I was like, you know what, I'm a smart, lazy, I want to be at home type of entrepreneur. I want to just run it with ads. Let's test it out. Never really done it, but I did have an idea of it. But while I
And
was doing
what
that,
year was this, Esteban?
that was 2018. That was 2018. Yeah.
Cool.
And so, everything started around 2019 where I decided to, I'm going to put a post out there. I learned everything. It's like, who needs marketing help? And we'll do essentially deals together. I can help you. And my idea was to essentially start learning how to do wholesaling, all that stuff by providing essentially marketing help and going into an organization, right? I did land in one big organization. That was my first ever client. Let's call it like that. They're called Destroy for Cash, and they were big buyers from Argentina. They used to buy about 300 to 350 houses on auctions every year, but the auctions were running low. Like they were not able to find more houses. They used to buy houses for $3,000, $5,000, $12,000, and then just flip it and then sell it just to buyers in Argentina. They used to do like TV programming and radio ads and like conferences to buy to Argentinian investors in Detroit. So they had a lot of demand and their houses were lacking. So I was like, dude, I can help you, kind of do this. And I can help you do the lead generation and stuff like that. Pay me a little bit. And just want to learn more about your business, go into your offices and things like that. So that was my first ever client. And that's when I realized when I did that post, tons of people responded and they were like, I also need help on that. And I'm like, okay, like this might be one way of doing it. Where instead of me going to wholesaling, I may just offer this as a service. So that's kind of like how it all started. Obviously, I did learn everything. I paid maybe over $200,000 in education on wholesaling, real estate investing, flipping, all that stuff. But the applicable thing, I've done it for the people that I've worked with, consulted with, or clients.
And Esteban, for I'm just curious. So when you, which is a really smart move on your part, by the way, to go, okay, who's got the full operation kind of figured out, but needs a little help with marketing, and you go into that company, that first client of yours, and you're running some marketing for them. What did you learn about the operation? Like, what did you learn about a quote unquote bigger operation at that time?
I learned that even the bigger flippers out there, they still don't have systems, don't have true processes. They're running everything manually, and they don't have a clear lead or client acquisition system. Because a lot of flippers, for example, they go to auctions, they rely on other wholesalers, whatever. And look, they were doing a lot of flips a month. They were doing a lot of house buying a month. Three brothers, very successful, right? They're called the Munoz brothers. But when I started sending them leads, man, one, they didn't really have a CRM. They had like a spreadsheet where they, copy pasted everything manually. They had a WhatsApp group with all their bird dogs that were also acquisition managers that would drive to the house as soon as they, got a lead or someone that needed to sell. They'll drive the house, they'll call the lead while driving to the house to try to actually close it. And they will do that every single day. It was a very interesting operations. They had like maybe about 7 to 12 people on the road, right? And they were driving around Detroit. So when I started sending them leads, they were like manually doing stuff. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, so how are you like dealing with those leads? Like, I'm just curious." Start by being curious. Literally, it's just I'm copy pasting the notifications you're sending me on text messages by Zapier, and I'm gonna paste it to these people that are in WhatsApp, so they go and lock it up. Like, and I was like, really? That's what you're doing? And then in me in my digging, I'm like, how can I help them better? It's like, have you guys ever used the CRM? It's like, no, I don't. I'm not like the biggest technology person. I'm like, I mean, but that's just gonna help you, get even more deals. They got 24 deals out of $9,000 in ad spend back in 2019. That's crazy. Obviously, like Detroit deals are a little bit smaller than normal, but that was a lot. You know what I mean? And
I'll take 2 deals out of $9,000 of ad spend,
right,
and I'll be
that's
extremely happy.
that was crazy. And but it also was effective in the sense that they were quick to act. They knew about speed to lead. Now they didn't have the best systems to manage leads and properly like keep track of them and CRM, like following up and stuff like that with SMS and emails. But they did know that they needed to act quickly and like call them right away while they're driving to the house to be able to essentially um, just lock it up because they recently have come in. So right away they had their priorities and their business just fundamentals set there. They were successful for a reason. Every single weekend they'll spend 3 days on auction, right? And then they also knew marketing on the Argentinian side, the TV ads, radio ads. So like they knew that marketing itself and advertising worked. Just that they haven't applied it um, to like deals in the US, right? To find houses because they only relied on auction. So even the biggest people, like they still need marketing. Acquisitions is always going to be a big problem. They always had to get the best bird dog. So talent acquisition is was the thing for them. They needed to get acquisition people, and they systems. It's like every single time there's almost always a system or something that is not efficient.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes when you meet your heroes, you're disappointed in certain things, and that's like one of those things because a lot of people listen to this, they'll see, the Andy McFarlanes, the Bill Allens, all the people who've been doing this for a long time, and they're doing big numbers, and then they find out that they're like it's not actually as sophisticated, and sometimes that could be a good thing. Simplicity does scale like complexity does not. So sometimes simplicity really can be scalable, but there's probably a limit to it, right? And sometimes there's just like simple, basic, fundamental things. Hey, look, CRMs were not maybe the most, there were probably plenty of people doing deals without CRMs in 2019, 20 time, because it wasn't as crowded in terms of lead gen at that time. So it's
Yeah.
just a little different, especially in Detroit, man, because that was like right when it was coming back. That was right when it was on the come up, like you said, where Dan Gilbert came in, and a lot of people, the Illich family, a lot of these people came in and brought a bunch of stuff to Detroit and attracted a lot of people. Clean that place up, looks great today if you go down there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. It was like shooting fish in the barrel for them. They didn't really need to have too many systems, but that influences obviously. As you develop and you're looking at this, you become kind of obsessed with this front end problem set of like, okay, lead gen, cool. You get really good because you're an engineer, you love marketing, you're like dialing it in and tweaking it. And then you start generating leads for people and you go, well, I'm only successful if they're successful. So I can generate all the leads for them I want, but if they don't have systems, if they don't have a CRM, if they don't have a follow-up process, people, the right training, they don't have people who can close, it kind of looks bad on me because now they're going, well, hey, I didn't close any deals from that lead generation service. But in reality, the truth is maybe they didn't get to the leads fast enough. Maybe they were only looking for laydowns. Maybe they had no follow up, no nurture, all these different things. And that's the big conundrum for anybody who's doing lead generation. Is there's the lead generator. It's actually not the most complicated thing in the world to do, is to generate leads. You put money in, you basically get leads out. The hard part is like getting people to do the right things with the lead and take care of them, because in this business, leads are the oxygen of your business. And without them, you strangle. You have no air. You die. So
Oh yeah.
what did you do? How did that influence what you did over the next 3 or 4 years as a marketer and, starting to learn how to get VAs and stuff like that for other people? How did that influence how you set things up and what service you provide for people going forward?
Yeah. It actually influenced me in a good way because almost every client, I got very lucky at the beginning from the first client that I got. Almost every first client that I got was already a big player. Like they were already doing like a lot of money per month. There was one guy, one group in Washington that they were doing about $400,000 a month. They were partners, but they split up later. And I got to essentially see what a good operations or optimized, refined processes look like. And then when I started getting like, with majority of the wholesalers are, I want to say 95% or more, that they were not at that level, that still needed my help. I was like, they have a constraint, they have a bottleneck because they don't have this. So I started reverse engineering every single aspect from lead gen, lead nurture, lead conversion, their own fulfillment on those leads and closing and then scaling, right? And because I started reverse engineering, I became more of a problem finder, problem solver on our clients' operations. And as I documented all of that and I thought through things, I was like, okay, now we're gonna add, for every client that doesn't have a CRM, which, surprise, almost every single client didn't know how to use their CRM. So I'm going to add Go High Level. So it's a white level version. They use a sub account, free, boom. That helps with, at least having visibility, adding SMS, automations, nurture, whatever, right? Complex workflows in that time. That time was called triggers and campaigns. And then wow, like now they have that, they're able to get more appointments, get leads more to reply to their messages and all that stuff. We're able to recover leads that were dead. We're able to like reactivate leads that were sitting there. Okay, but they're not closing. All right, so now the next one is like, okay, conversion. Now I have to learn sales, not only for my business but for them. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, let me just see what's going on. You're telling me that the leads suck. And then I go and listen to their conversation. And then when I start learning sales, it's like they go price-based thinking, logical, straight to like what they want for the house. Nothing else matter but a transaction. And I'm like, this kind of sucks. Okay, so I started learning and putting together frameworks inside of the business so that I can teach that and transfer that to clients, right? And the same thing for like, well, now they get busy, now they get good amount of deals. We have a client recently. Oh, I need to pause because I have so many leads. I'm like, okay, so you're a one-man show. You don't have many exit strategies. You can get a hold to the leads fast as possible. So I'm like, we're not gonna let you pause. We're just gonna like take action and then essentially evolve with this, growing pains that you have. So we added inside sales agents, right? So we essentially like callers, that inbound callers that as soon as the lead come in, boom, it will get to the lead ASAP, like within 2 to 5 minutes. They're in a call center system basically. And then, okay, so how we're going to scale past this, so how we're going to hire people. It started becoming more of a like end-to-end, but customized to the type of client that would come in, type of agency, right?
So
It was not just more of a
do you guys do
yeah,
that today, Esteban? So it sounds
yeah,
like, I can come to get sellers, and sure, you'll generate leads for me, and that's great, but you'll also give some like operational consulting and help people to increase infrastructure. And you don't charge anything extra for that.
No, it's all part of our client success. It's all part of our client success system that we have created. I am lucky enough to that we have like hired really good people from I hired people from realtor.com, from different like companies like that already trained up, and then I trained them on our systems so they can essentially like coach and build that. We have client success coaches or client success managers that coach our clients in this. We have backend systems people that build out technology and systems for them. We also have a client success leader that essentially helps them on higher level coaching, or high level, all these things operations wise. Obviously, like for the people that do really need it, right? Some people they only need leads because they have everything set up. They're already doing like a couple mail a year, or like, they're pretty set up. That's okay. We only do the lead gen. But yeah, we do that. And like, it's very like majority of agencies, they have a 3 month retention or 2 to 3 months retention period. So their churn is really high, and the retention is very low. Okay. And
Let me just for the audience listening real quick. He's talking about if you hire somebody like an agency, a marketing agency to generate, seller leads for you. Typically the client, you and the agency only work together for about 3 months. And then there's something broken that makes everybody unhappy. And then it's called churn. So he said, they typically will have churn within 3 months. It means they only work together for 3 months, and then they kind of churn out from that relationship. And then the other thing you'd mentioned, I think, was it retention?
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
so like how long, basically what you're alluding to is how long does the client and the agency work together to generate seller leads, right? And it's only as long as you're useful to them. But if they're having success, the more success they have, the more likely they are to work with the agency for a longer period of time.
yeah.
So I see where you're going. I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure everybody understood that.
100%. And majority of actually people leave and stop doing the lead gen because one, the lack sales systems, follow up systems, good infrastructure. They lack the offers that you can provide to sellers that come from online marketing, and their mindset also sucks. So they're not patient. They want to solve things quickly rather than like knowing that it takes time, or like they want the marketing to get deals right away. They judge the leads, they blame the leads. Like there's 4 categories that we see that clients land on, so that we tackle those categories, and we do essentially we have this thing in the company. When you come in and you have a welcome and onboarding setup and onboarding process, you gotta be at the happiest level there, but you will also have to put the expectations very solid, right, from the very beginning. And like based on the client, you gotta be able to find what is it that most likely they will fail on, because there's different situations, different scenarios that they could potentially fail on based on the type of client that we have. And we like try to drill it very proactively to that specific client, and then also build a kind of like a roadmap. Okay, so now this client, every check-in is going to need help on his sales framework, right? And then he's going to be needing reminder, or it's going to be needing an inspection on the call, and then giving him some more of a mindset coaching because maybe his mindset needs a lot of help, right? And then maybe this client essentially like loves to be part of something, a community. Okay, maybe this client at some point will appreciate that another client talks to him, and then ultimately like helps them, or part of the community kind of helps that client essentially like do a deals, or another client essentially give him like a 15-minute 30-minute call to reassure him like how things are going to go. Or even even me, I can just jump into like sometimes into a call, and then anyways, so we create this activation points roadmap so that clients can essentially solve these things, and proactively we tackle them so that they stay for longer. So whenever they feel great, they can also feel greater. And whenever they feel bad, we know exactly why, but we already have tackled a lot of the things prior to it. So our clients end up staying for we have a retention of about 8 months. Even
That's
though a
great.
lot of clients, yeah, a lot of clients are years for sure. But I'm also counting the clients that are not so great.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and retention is normally within the 92% or 93%. Trying to stable it at 90%. Uh, that's like essentially the retention that we have.
Yeah, that Esteban, that's phenomenal. And I think your mindset and your approach is so good around this because as somebody who's providing a service to investors, like what you realize is that you're only gonna win no matter how good you are at the thing you're providing. You only win if your client wins because if your client doesn't win, they won't stay and they don't if they don't feel like they're having success or if they don't have the success like first off if expectations aren't appropriate that's where we all lose and
Yeah.
then when we have good expectations and we feel like and we're getting the result that we agreed would be a rational result between the two of us then we stay for a long time and sometimes you'll have lifetime clients just because they love the service and how you do it. I think your approach is phenomenal in focusing on the business and the parts of the business that you already know clients typically will struggle with. And that initial audit can be so crucial. And the cool thing about that is like, I mean, you're seeing what the clients have to understand is you're seeing all kinds of businesses and behind the scenes and what works and doesn't work for different markets and different companies and different structures. So you have this unique position where you could come into the client's business and offer them, take it or leave it, but offer them, hey, I'm seeing this. I think this could be helpful for you. And if they listen to you, then they probably are way more likely to succeed just because of the unique position you're in where you get to see businesses from a few different
Yeah.
angles. I really love that, man. I think, I'm thinking about the new investor, right? So like, let's say we got an investor and maybe they've done a deal. Maybe they bought a rental. Maybe they bought a few rentals. They got some cash, a little bit of cash. They're not like balling, but now they want to like they're like off market deals. I know I need to like market to these people. What would you recommend if I came to you today and I was like, look, man, I've bought like 6 rentals. I kind of did it the bigger pockets, normal type way. I put money down, but now I'm hearing all about this off market underground where I can go out and I could do a little bit of marketing. I could talk to these people myself and negotiate the deals directly. So I'm pretty green. I don't have a nurture. I've never been trained on sales, but I generally know how to do a deal. Like, how would you work with me as a client? Would you help me generate leads? Would you what would you want to see from me as a client? What would you do for me?
Yeah. So in actually doing a lot for clients, it's a double edged sword. Ken Clothier, right?
Yep.
So I did coaching with him, and he's like, "Dude, this is great, but you're gonna be attracting all those broken people or people that are, you know, needing all of that when you advertise on that." As opposed to like let's say the bigger sharks or the whales that they see like oh I'm not gonna need all of that, right? So that's why I started essentially get sellers and like we're doing a subdivision of Hustle Media. So Hustle Media is like more like end to end type of thing, and like get sellers is able to like give leads and that's it. And if you want to add agency type of experience, we will do that, right? You just have to be spending a certain amount of time, a certain amount of ads of lead ad spend, basically, with us in order to give you that type of experience. But I would 100% tell someone that is new, okay, one, you would need 100% a roadmap, like a blueprint, like a game plan, like you guys, for example, 7 figure flipping. I love to tell them, hey, look, go to a coaching program that is proven, some sort of mentorship that is proven, or a person that can give you that roadmap. We'll try to give it to you in our discovery call and our demo call, how that would look like. But you need someone that 100% educates you, because if you are going to be spending a lot of money on Google ads or a lot of money on Facebook ads, and let's say Facebook ads start pumping a lot of leads, right? And then every lead, like you just bomb it, like you can't talk to them. You're going to be wasting a lot of marketing dollars on that, right? Because you're lacking that framework, that experience. Maybe you're great at sales. Okay, that's a huge advantage, right? Uh, and you just need to build that ecosystem. So in the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
we can do that. But if someone is really starting out, normally they're not great at sales. They think they are, but they don't. So I would be like, hey, instead, let's do our instant lead packages, which is essentially our get sellers offer of paying per lead. You buy, let's say, 20, 20 leads, right? And we start with those 20 leads. Every single lead, you can, when you get them, you're going to essentially practice and get all the frameworks done that you get from the coaching program or from whatever it is that you're doing, and then take it as a practice. You can ask for credit refunds if credit on the leads if it's a bad lead, and that's a good thing for you. But obviously, we will be evaluating the lead and the conversation to see, I mean, how much of this is and what else we can actually help you. And the good
Yeah.
thing about that is that you can like turn it on, turn it off, and take some time to learn the ropes. Because the moment that you go into the agency side, which is like Facebook or Google advertising as a campaign, we're not going to stop. Like it just doesn't make sense to stop a campaign, you know?
All right.
Um,
So now you're talking about like, okay. So I think I'm hearing you well here is, if you're newer and you've done some deals, you're a deal maker. You already kind of figured out how to do some deals. You're not a professional yet, but you know where you're going. You can
yeah,
go to these guys over at Get Sellers and just buy a package of leads, and they'll go do the digital marketing to generate leads in your area. And I agree with you. I like that for especially for newer folks, like turning pay per lead, we call this PPL, on and
yeah,
off is a huge benefit. And you don't have to necessarily be an expert at lead gen, but you can get leads in very quickly this way, which is the most important part because it's allowing you to get repetition talking to sellers the
yep,
fastest way possible. Because if you try to go stumble, if you don't know anything about marketing, you're trying to set up your own marketing, whether it's digital marketing, cold calling, direct mail, it doesn't really matter. There is a science and an art to it. It is not a one size fits all. Every market is different. Every avatar in every market's a little bit different. So there's a lot of nuance when it comes to marketing. So I'm hearing that, new investors can come to Get Sellers, get a lead package and start getting those reps. And now if you're already
yeah,
doing like 3 to 5 deals a month and you're looking to really get some branded marketing out there with your brand on it, increase your brand awareness, increase your conversions in the digital space, then that's when you go work with the media side of it and get like a true media buyer on there running the different types of
correct.
ads for you, whether
Yeah.
it's Meta
New
or Google PPC.
newbies in real estate need coaching and leads so that they can get coached on every single lead, and they don't have this flow of leads and expenses that they don't know how to go about even building a business. And then, more seasoned investors, they can go ahead and start building their internal Google ads or Facebook, Instagram campaigns because they already know what it takes to actually get something done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I want to spend a little bit of time. I don't want to take up too much of your afternoon, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about remote Latinos and how that kind of came to be, and remote Latinos. Like, why would people, so we call this a virtual assistant, which I think is kind of comical. I mean, heck, I'm a virtual assistant
Yeah.
in my own business. But
Yeah.
we hire offshores employees, and you see this across the industry. If you're unfamiliar, what happens is you might go hire somebody in the Philippines for $4 to $8 or $9 an hour. You might go hire somebody in Egypt for, nearly the same, or you could go down to South America. You can hire offshore talent down there. And I was having this discussion internally with some folks in our mastermind. Um, there is a massive use case for Spanish speaking virtual assistants. If you're in a Texas, for sure, like if you're in the South or the Southeast, like you need Spanish speaking people. And I think that's a really great geographical location for remote Latinos because it's such a critical component of business in the South. And maybe Filipino VAs calling don't perform as well because they think it's a call center and they're hanging up on them. But yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to kind of just hear about remote Latinos, how you work with people there, and why it is a great opportunity for businesses today.
Yeah. I started remote Latinos because a lot of people would talk crap about just virtual assistants as a whole. Like they would think that they're the bottom barrel of the thing, and they would just think that a virtual assistant was is more like a service, like this robot, this person that has no soul. And I'm like, well, you know what? Then does that make my mom that she works remotely, or that she works in Colombia and she can do laps around any American that is just entitled? No. Is my family? No, absolutely not. So, and I was a remote Latino itself, like I was living essentially abroad. The thing is that people don't know. Like I told you, they don't have a passport. They're unaware, and they think that they live in the jungle, and that honestly, it's a sense of pride that I'm able to essentially connect with someone that I know, or that I have seen, that has the capabilities of helping other businesses build their business and develop the business while being abroad, while speaking two languages, given the opportunity that they can actually work in the US, make American dollars without having to struggle here, doing like low level cleaning jobs, construction jobs, and stuff like that. And instead is a professional setting. So that was a huge, proud moment of me. Like, I know I can help you with that, because my first ever employee was my cousin, and I developed her. And then I'm like, why are people not thinking this way, right? Like South America is just right here, Mexico is right here, Central America is just right here. They're so used to this um, cultural there's a cultural alignment instead of Philippines, that there's a cultural shock on how they are, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying they're different. And the same thing for most Asians; they're just so different. While the U.S. is fully used to remote Latinos, actually fully used to Latinos that are just happen to be remote, right? Um, you see it in states like Texas, Florida, Arizona, California, like even Michigan. There's so many Mexicans, by the way, and you see it in a lot, because 20% of America is actually Hispanics. And I saw this gap of people complaining about their Filipinos and that they're not really the greatest at sales. Majority of them don't even speak up. Majority of them are shy. They don't tell the things up front. And while Latinos are noisy, they want to be there. They want to be everywhere. They're loud. They're more loud and things like that. And they're perfect for those front end roles, but they're also there's also a lot that will be good for project management, operations, leadership, like design, video editing, like graphic design, like you name it, they'll do it, right? And you'll pay just a tiny bit more than a Filipino. But that was the opportunity that I started seeing whenever clients would come in and be like, "Hey, I'm getting super super busy on with these leads. Um, I need some help on following up with them." So I'm like, you know what? I got you. I'm going to send you to this agency that helps you find people. And that agency was actually Omir's agency back in the day. Omir is my business partner, and we were not partner up back then. So I told them like, hey, I would send you to this people, to this agency, and we essentially started doing 50-50 split. But Omir mostly used to do Filipinos. But I told him like, dude, there's this job boards in Latin America and also LinkedIn that you can actually like poach people or just like post jobs as well. And he started doing that, and so our clients started loving it. Right, my entire team literally is remote, and majority of them are remote Latinos. Right, so I knew the value of it. Clients started getting really good results where they love their people. We have clients that have been with their remote Latino for like over 5 years. It's like the best thing that they could ever do. So we started to think that this could be something like another business. And just like a good entrepreneur, double-edged sword type of thinking, all right, let's make this happen. Let's make something happen, right? So while I was having the agency and Omir was actually running that other virtual assistant company from the Philippines, we transformed it to be a virtual assistant, remote professional company for in Latin America, right? And we just rebranded everything to Remote Latinos. And he keeps saying that Remote Latinos, the name itself was his idea, but it wasn't his idea.
Well, he's not here to defend himself, so I think you're correct. I mean, you must be correct. So,
But anyways, like we started seeing what other competitors are doing, and so we jumped into this game of recruitment, which is big. It's a multi-billion-dollar game of recruitment, and now we've been doing it for like a couple of years now. We're actually pretty successful with it, and a lot of the big players in the space have been using it. We're trying to expand on real estate. We're trying to expand on insurance, lawyers, like personal injury lawyers, like companies that have a lot more money than real estate, and they also need to hire a lot because they can.
what would you say? What would you say the number one thing real estate investors hire from a remote Latino's perspective? What's the main thing real estate investors need in their business with offshore labor?
The most in high demand organic role that they want is definitely someone that does admin, executive assistant stuff, operation stuff, like just help them with the day to day. And the second one that we advertise a lot because these people are highly needed is appointment setters or lead managers, follow up specialists, you name it. And surprisingly enough, the third one is actually closers. We've hired a lot of acquisition managers for real estate investors and wholesalers that are Latinos, and they're closing deals for our clients.
No way, Esteban. I've heard VAs could never ever close deals in the United States. Is that true?
No, that's not true, man. Everything is like, if you got someone that speaks English, right? And sales is an energy game. It's not like whether you have an accent or not. Like if you are able to master the skill sets that sales are required, and then you're able to transfer that, that energy that is required to have someone to trust you and then get persuaded to work with you as opposed to the competitor. I think that's everything you need, to be honest. Like I don't see anyone. I would say even someone that learns those skill sets and is able to do the same thing for to a homeowner during the call, like during the phone, and is from the Philippines, will still do it. Obviously, like the more there's more of you can find more of those people where there's like English is a language where they speak it a lot, and that the culture allows it for being salespeople, right? Like you see Latinos essentially, you go to Latin America and they're trying to sell you for everything, and everything has an upsell, and everything's marked up, right? Everything is a downsell, right? Like everything is negotiation. And I don't know if you experience that, but I experience it. I am like that as well, and that's why it makes it great. It makes it perfect for a Latino to also have close deals.
I think that's amazing, man. Yeah, and I think there's value. The funny thing is we do have a virtual assistant overseas in Egypt who has closed over $1 million for us this year. So people are like, "Oh no, a virtual assistant can't close." I'm like, dude, my guy's
Egyptians are
closed
great
over.
too. Yeah.
I got one guy who closed over $1 million. His name's Alex. He's in Egypt and he did a great job. So, and I mean, like, think about this, dude. Like, I'm a dude sitting here in the United States. There's a dude sitting in Mexico or Brazil or Honduras, like no different than me, speaks English too,
Yeah.
maybe even better, and has the same access to education and training that I can get.
That's right.
And we're all over the phone. So how is it possible that it could even be that somebody couldn't do it? Like, if you really think about it, it's not the end of the world. So, okay. Yeah, that's cool. I think if you guys, like, a lot of investors, I know a lot of people feel like overwhelmed. They have a lot going on and they just, it's like so heavy for them. They're like, they really need to focus on the main thing, which is generating revenue in their business. And that's going to come on talking to sellers and leads and negotiating and closing deals. My opinion is probably the first people new investors do need to hire is somebody who can handle a lot of the admin and middle stuff so that they can continue to generate and close deals on the front end, because that's the big money maker. I tell people all the time, your first goal is not to set up a website. It's not to do anything other than go produce $250,000 in revenue. Like that is your only mission. And like we just do the 3 things it takes to do that. And then let's talk about building the business.
Yes.
Cause you need to be resourced, right? You can't be resource poor and build a real business. So, hey, great conversation, Esteban, man. I'm so grateful for you coming on today. It was so cool to get to spend time with you and your team, and you guys gave such a killer presentation. I was cracking up the whole time, but it was great. It was engaging. It was informative. And I think that's just the care that you guys put into the stuff that you do. And I really do appreciate that about you. If people want to look at some lead gen or get some offshore labor, where would you tell people to go to connect with you and your team?
Yeah. If they want offshore labor, you can just go to remotelatinos.com. We have a marketplace, and we also have you can talk with our advisors to see if maybe we can just do the talent hunting for you. And send us an Instagram as well, an Instagram message to me and the 2 founders at Estenik and Omir Block. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have if you guys listen to this podcast, and give you some help. And in terms of the lead gen, just go to getsellers.io and you'll be able to find leads, per lead.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. Getsellers.io, just remotelatinos.com. Hey, thanks so much for your time, brother. It was such a pleasure to have you at the event. Such a pleasure to talk to you today.
Yeah, same here, man. Thank you so much. It's been a long time that I wanted to do this with you guys. So thank God.
Super cool, man. Super cool. All right, brother. Have a good one. And for the listeners, thanks so much for tuning in. If you liked it, make sure you share it with a friend, subscribe, leave me a 5-star review. If it's only going to be 4 stars, just save it for an email later. Don't leave it. Just kidding. Have a good one. I'll see you on the next one.
All right. I'll see you.